Throughout the sea, your children beheld your power.
This is my God, they exclaimed, and said, the Lord shall reign forever and ever.
As you delivered Israel from oppression, so may you redeem all your children from oppression.
Praised are you, O Lord, Redeemer of Israel. More than quiet.
For mine said Israel, yet the peace at night, we must take heed how to live by day.
Grant us the peace that comes from honest dealing, so that no fear of discovery will haunt our sleep.
Rid us of resentments and hatreds, which rob us
of peace with praise.
Liberate us from enslaving habits which disturb us and give us no rest.
And inflict no pain, bring no shame, seek no profit from another's loss.
May we so live that we can face the whole world with serenity.
May we feel no remorse at night and during the day.
May we lie down in peace tonight and awaken tomorrow to a richer and fuller life.
Amen. Shalom, Shalom, Shalom Aleichem, Israel. Shalom, Aleichem, Shalom, You Kadosh Baruch.
With
All your soul,
with all your might. You shall keep in heart these words which I command you this day. You shall teach them diligently to your children.
You
You
shall
shall
repeat
repeat
them
them
at
at
home
home
and
and
away,
away,
when
when
you
you
lie
lie
down
down
at
at
night.
night, and when you rise up in the morning. You shall put them as a sign upon your arm, and they shall be a reminder of your eyes. You shall inscribe them on the doorposts of your homes and on the gates of your cities. And we'll
V'shamru b'nei Israel et Shabbat l'asot Shabbat v'dor b'rit Shalom. V'shamru b'nei Israel et Shabbat l'asot Shabbat v'dor b'rit Shalom. Olam V'shamru b'nei Israel et Shabbat l'asot Shabbat l'tzor b'rit Olam. Asa Adonai Shamru b'nei Israel et Shabbat l'asot Shabbat l'doratam b'rit Olam. V'shamru b'nei Israel et Shabbat l'asot Shabbat l'doratam b'rit Olam.
You mean in Egypt?
In Egypt, yeah. And they, sort of almost like a rebellion. And so
They
they
can't
got
hear you
lost,
without
they
the,
got lost.
they can't hear you without the,
Oh, I don't know. But I don't know anything about you.
Okay, so the Zoom folks can hear me from this mic, yes? Yes. So Mike told us that this parsha is about the Jews who maybe staged a rebellion because they thought that they would have been better off in Egypt. So not quite. There is a rebellion, but it doesn't have to do with wanting to be back in Egypt. That was a little bit back. But there's definitely a rebellion. Does anyone else know what? Yeah. Okay. Oh my. Well, who didn't accept?
Korah and his followers.
Exactly.
I think they were the Arabs. They were not actually Jews.
No. So actually, so Korah and his followers actually were Levites. So they were definitely Jews, but what they were upset about was Moses and Aaron being the leaders, right? And so the question that they basically pose at the beginning of the Parsha is, why you guys? Why do you guys set yourselves above the entire congregation, right? You know, God dwells in our midst. in the tabernacle, aren't we all holy, right? And so essentially, Moses then kind of challenges Korah to, I'm gonna be very irreverent and call it an incense off, right? So they each bring a can of incense into to the tabernacle, right? The idea being that God will choose which one should be leader, right? Which offering God prefers. And what essentially happens is that a hole opens in the earth, and Korah and his followers are swallowed up by the hole, and they die, which is a pretty decisive answer, right? So this parsha is often used as a jumping off point for discussions about leadership and how do you decide who's in charge. How do we know that if we believe that God has chosen the one in charge, how do we know that? But there is a legitimate question here about the Israelite situation in particular, right? Because in previous sections of the Torah, there are places where it almost does kind of sound like it could be sort of a democracy-ish, right? So back at the end of the book of Exodus, when the Israelites are being asked to make gifts for the building of the tabernacle, right? Everyone is asked to bring whatever gift they are able to, right? And then God is said to be dwelling in the tabernacle among the people, among all of the people, right? When the Israelites are escaping Egypt, there's a presence of God that follows them in the form of a cloud during the day and fire at night, right? So there is this idea that the Israelites are holy and that God is protecting them, right? So on the one hand, you can kind of understand Korach's question, right? Why are you the big shot? Why do you set yourself above the community? The answer is not that Moses has set himself above the community, but that God has chosen him to be the leader, right? But there is another, it goes a little deeper than that, because in all of the laws that we read about in Leviticus and continue to read about in Numbers and Deuteronomy, the idea is not that every Israelite is considered to be holy. The idea of all of the laws is that they are tools by which we can make ourselves holy, right? We strive for holiness. We become holy and hopefully stay holy by living a righteous life, right? By living the life that God has designed for us, right? By following God's laws. So it's not that we are holy. Holiness is a state that we are striving for, right? So if you look at it that way, then Korah's question hits a little bit different, right? Because you could say that if Korah and his followers really were striving to be holy and continually striving to be holy and following God's laws as best they could, they would never have asked that question, right? They would have seen their role as part of the community, and indeed they were Levites, right? So they were priests in the temple, they were assisting the Kohanim, so they were, in a sense, a level above the regular people as well, right? And if they had seen their role as continuing to strive to be holy and help the Israelites do the same thing, then they probably wouldn't have asked that question of Moses, right? So that, for me, that is the interpretation of Korah that is speaking to me this week. Because we live in a world that is truly full of turmoil, and there are so many questions that we can ask and that we should ask. But really the most important thing for us as human beings is to continually strive to be whole. And I apologize if I sound like a broken record, because I feel like I say some version of this every time I'm here. But it bears repeating, at least for me anyway. That if you are trying to follow God's ways as best you can, be the best human being that you can, those are the things that will lead to the holy and satisfying life. And hopefully you can be an example to those around you. And for goodness sake, I implore all of you to please avoid getting swallowed up by the earth. I don't want to see that happen to anybody. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishemerach imotenu lekor habracha leavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shelema. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
To everyone who is here and everyone on Zoom.
Veshamru b'nei Yisrael al Shabbat laso et ha-Shabbat letorah go beri alone.